If you are calling something into your life and you don't have it yet, it's because you're not a match, an energetic match for that frequency. You're not vibrating at that space to experience that thing you're calling in. This is why you cannot skip over the inner work. Welcome to the Rylee June Show. I am your host, Rylee June, intuition master coach and spiritual activator. This podcast is here to support you on your growth and ascension journey, for those new to learning about their energy and for light leaders to set a standard in their work and practices within the industry. Running a multi-six-figure business as a light leader comes with great responsibility, and as I expand my work into the corners of the globe to help others reconnect with who they truly are, just know your time spent here with me is held sacredly. And for light leaders, it's time to show up. We have a massive mission to raise the awareness of human consciousness in our globe, so let's get to work. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to a new year. Not just another session, but a new year. How incredible is that we are in 2022? I feel like there comes this point where you eventually just pull back and you just look at how much time has passed in your life. This year I turned 30. The Rylee June podcast, the brand, the membership, the mastermind, all got a revamp coming into this new year, as well as courses and programs that are going to come out throughout this year as well. It's honestly just such an incredible journey with you being here every week. And honestly, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to tune into this. And my intention when I got started with the podcast was that I just had so much information that I wanted to share, that I needed people to know about, that it just became this really incredible experience where over the last 2 years, we've had some really incredible guests on the show and will continue to throughout 2022. The lineup is so surreal. But just even in that, it's like we all have to start somewhere. And I feel like in our day and age, there's a lot of this instant gratification. Well, it's not that it's like maybe there definitely is this instant gratification that you move into a new house and it's got to look like the ones on Pinterest, or you start a business and it's got to look like the $1 million Fortune 500 companies. And I think where this message is really going is that this is the year of revolution, revolutionizing you, revolutionizing your life, revolutionizing the world. And every single thing that you do contributes to that. Being a better mom, being more present with your spouse, being more present with yourself, tuning into the energy of love, really finding what you are meant to do, but more so than just finding it, pursuing it, finding a habit that you love, tuning into different creative portals so that you can really access even more of that inner knowing. Not coincidentally, I received a message this morning, and it was from someone who I actually went to elementary, junior high, and high school with, and we have kind of gone back and forth throughout our whole life. To be honest, I wasn't the nicest person to her growing up, and that was something that really weighed very heavily on me when I started to go through a lot of my healing journey. Just being totally transparent, I wasn't always the nicest person. And it wasn't that this girl did anything wrong. She was actually probably one of the only genuine friends that I ever had in my life. But growing up, you get very caught up in the identity politics of groups and cliques and people and popularity. And so through my healing journey, I really got to go through a really deep level of forgiveness of just anyone that I ever treated anything less than neutral to. And what was really fascinating is that when I started to do that forgiveness, especially surrounding this specific person, she actually ended up approaching me about doing a reading. And she is someone who is very emotionally empathic, so she feels others' emotions. And she's been on quite a beautiful healing journey herself in the last couple of years, just healing from different types of addictions. And what's so beautiful about her journey is that together, as we have been healing separately, it is constantly bringing us back and forth into this vortex and bubble with each other. And this is, I'm going to share the rest of the story, but this is really what I'm going to be bringing into this world, into this podcast space, and equally the membership as well in 2022. So I'm going to be giving you a big oversight of what to expect, as well as introducing you to the law of vibration, which is truly the most important of many laws, especially when we come to this new guiding principle that we're all accessing as we expand our consciousness and go through this healing journey. So I'm going to share more about that in a moment. But with this story, we kept coming back to connecting with each other. And this morning she sent me a message saying that I woke up from a dream and I felt like there was hands on me and there was nobody there, but I knew that whatever it was telling me that everything was okay. And so I was explaining to her that as you go on a healing journey, whether you have this huge, massive outcome goal or not, but you pursue this experience of healing and having a deeper level of love and acceptance and appreciation for yourself, even just a self-focus, you make room for energy, for higher vibrations, for frequency to be able to move into your life, through your body, into your life. And so that naturally is going to connect more people to spirits, loved ones that have passed over, other people's energies and emotions in a heightened sense, because you're able to now, whether you have the tools or not, you are now able to access higher levels of energy, process at higher levels of energy, and be able to move in a higher level of energy. And so for a lot of people, whether you're just getting started or you've been on this journey for a while, 2022 is an acceleration portal. And what do I mean by that? Is that this year things are going to happen very rapidly. And I really sat with this episode for a while because originally what I've been doing is doing essentially year in review. So I'd go and break down each month and kind of dive into what each month was going to represent and what the world was going to look like. But when I sat down to do it for this year, what I really was conflicted with, and this is what's going to tie back to the story, is that there was a part of me that felt very inauthentic to doing a review. I really had to ask myself, do I actually genuinely want to give insight and guidance to what the year is going to look like, the positive, negative, and neutral? Or am I just doing that to appease this hyper condition that we have been put through of giving people information? You see, when I stepped back from doing readings, it was because I realized that people needed to know how to plug into higher vibrations and frequencies for themselves, because otherwise you're very consumed with what's going on in the world, what's happening over here, what's happening over there, what these people are thinking, what these people are doing, what these people are thinking about yourself. And that's not a way to live your life, especially if you're desiring to have more bliss and abundance and connection and health and healing and wealth in your life in any of those forms, right? You cannot skip over this. And I'm probably going to say this about 10,000 times this year. You cannot skip over doing the inner work, because the only thing that you're doing is you're fueling the energy of lack, because you're showing up for God, universe, that you don't feel worthy of spending that time on yourself, right? And so for this beautiful friend, she is someone who has, even in the depths of unworthiness, showed up for herself. And now she's able to access a higher level of connection, which is truly going to bring about a lot of clarity and manifestations and positivity and likely even relationships in her life this year. Supportive relationships, which is a big one. And why I share this with you is because, like I just said, you can't skip over doing the inner work. Even if you're starting with, just having one healthier meal a day or 5 minutes of meditation every other day, just starting with 1 degree shifts at a time, they add up and make up a world of a difference, because you're plugging into a consistent frequency that is greater than where you are. You see, human beings need to be challenged, because if they are not being challenged, they will become complacent. And if you have the question, how did we get to this point and where we're at in the world? It's because people have been given and granted all these safe spaces and free money and don't worry about it. We'll take it off your shoulders. Come and see us. Sign these papers. Never look at it again. And it's created a lot of complacency in people's lives. The whole 9-to-5 paradigm is really collapsing. And I'm not saying that if you have a 9-to-5 job that you're going to be out of a job. But what I am saying is that a lot of, especially new new adults coming into this world, so our 15s to 20-year-olds or to even 25-year-olds, they're not pursuing these 9 to 5s anymore, which can lead to two different types of timelines. We do need the 9 to 5ers because they create that consistent flow within our systems, but they're starting to realize that there's so much more that is available at their fingertips. And so they are challenging themselves. And that's how we're seeing a lot more and going to be seeing a lot more millionaires of children, early adolescents, and early adults. We have children around the world who are 9 years old making millions of dollars off of NFTs, which is a digital art currency creation that is really going to take huge strides in this new year. The whole digital online stuff, the metaverse, we can maybe get into that in another episode. Rooted in evil. Keep your kids away from that. If your kids are playing games like Minecraft and Fortnite and all these virtual types of games, just know that that is conditioning them to be comfortable and to be complacent, essentially, in a virtual reality world. So heads up, parents. Okay, within this, we have a lot of big changes. So we're having big changes to the money system. We're having big changes to our systems. We're having a lot of people finding and pursuing passion. And you can't pursue passion if you're not challenging yourself. The ups and downs of entrepreneurship and even healing, doing better for yourself, it's not always comfortable. It's not always happy, and it's not always blissful. And more often than not, especially in the beginning, it's actually really challenging and difficult. But it's in the pursuance and the perseverance of keeping on moving forward anyways, that's really always going to make a difference in your world. And specifically for this year, because we're going to have just so much more stuff come to light. What do I mean by stuff? I mean celebrity stuff and alien stuff and virus stuff and government stuff and hoax stuff, all of it. We're just going to have more stuff. And so coming back to my original intention with this podcast episode and doing the overview, it was more so about teaching. It's about teaching you. It's about giving you the tools, the understandings, the connections, and really making sure that you are set up to be able to have a place you can come to, whether you're my spiritual entrepreneurs or you're someone on a healing journey, and have something that you can go and get yourself a journal from the dollar store if necessary and start taking notes. Okay, these podcast episodes throughout this year are going to be note-taking episodes. This podcast is going to be a training program for you for an entire year and arguably moving forward. And why I decided to do it that way is because healing does not need to be unaffordable. It's why I created the Expander membership. Healing deserves and should be accessible. Now, understand that everything is an investment, and just because something is priced at $20 and something is priced at $2,000 doesn't mean that because you can't afford the $2,000 thing that you shouldn't start somewhere else. If you can't afford the $2,000 thing, it's because you're not in the frequency to be able to do so, right? And we can go through okay, well, sell the things and get the money and do the stuff, sure, right? But you have to assess, are you doing that out of lack, or are you doing it out of a deep desire to pursue something greater than where you're at, okay? I have had those moments where I've invested my rent into a coach and I didn't know where I was going to get it back. I really don't recommend that. That's a very rooted in lack mentality type of decision making. Now, I'm grateful that it worked out. It is exactly what I needed. So the guidance was there, and all of it was what it needed to be. But that hasn't always been the case. I have also invested thousands of dollars that I didn't necessarily have into coaching programs that I wasn't able to make all the payments for either. So my point is that just start somewhere, and healing can be affordable. And so between this podcast and the Expander membership, it is going to be a resource for you to be able to really understand the tools to go within, have the inspiration from incredible guests that are going to be shared with you throughout the year, as well as learning how you can better your life without having to go and do all the things outside of you all the time. So that's what to expect throughout this podcast and the membership. So if you haven't heard about the membership and you're new to the podcast, welcome. Thank you for being here. The membership is a place where you can come to experience healing that is fun and affordable. So we do community events. There's 3 main calls that we do every month, which is a workshop, so a training program. So it's our level up calls. And then we have our community meetups, which is every third Sunday of the month. And then we also have our Expand You sessions, which is an energy coaching session to support you in breaking through your limitations. These are group coaching calls every third Wednesday of the month. Aside from that, we have 3 meditations a week. So the meditations are really great because it's a way for you to start with the habit building and showing up consistently for something. They're typically 15 minutes, 3 times a week at 8 a.m. They're going to be at 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So even if you can't necessarily make it to the live, you can make it to a replay. And my purpose with those is to have something where you are getting to show up for you, right? Habits make or break you. And if you're someone who is wanting to level up in this year and revolutionize your life and do the extreme makeover, if you will, it's really going to come down to your habits. So we have our habit breakers and alignment experience, and then we have our 3 calls: community meetups for fun, the level up trainings to give you insight and access to expansion, and then our Expand You calls, which is to help the community, the group, really break through their limitations. And so we might not get to everyone, but we definitely cover a lot of really powerful experiences and exercises to help you to break through your own limitations. So I'm really excited about that. Going into this new year, there's honestly just so much exciting things to come. I've never had a clearer vision going into this. And I also just want to take a moment to share on that before we get into the law of vibration. Because like I said, you have to start somewhere. And this is now my year 4 of doing this, running this company, being in this business. And I am just starting to have an actual tangible foundation built where I have the lawyer hired for the contracts, I have the insurance to protect the business, I have the taxes appropriately set aside with the accounts and the schedules and all that kind of stuff, and I know the movement of all of my systems and my offers at this point. I didn't have that in the beginning. And I think going back to what I had initially said about when you get started, we tend to overwhelm ourselves because what we're doing doesn't look like the Pinterest decor, whatever it is, right? And a lot of people are really going to struggle this year, especially if you're constantly looking at your life through the lens of it doesn't look like Pinterest. It doesn't look like these people on Instagrams. It doesn't look like you're giving your power away and you're pulling yourself out of your own potential. Okay, that's why I'm turning this podcast into literally a training resource for a year. So every Monday, you can come here and you can tune into these episodes and you can learn something. Okay, and if not in the podcast, we have the Expander membership. There's monthly, annually, and lifetime members with bonuses for all of them. And there's the Mastermind that's going to open up next week, which is a 5-month mastermind, a training, coaching, and expansion program for spiritual entrepreneurs. So these are going to be my main focuses. And I'm really excited about this because it's simple, it's clear, it's efficient for you, and it's something that you don't have to get overwhelmed with either. It's something that you can tune into as you're doing the laundry or you're getting ready, or you can sit down and utilize this as almost an audio training program. Okay, so that is what I'm really excited to bring to you guys this year. We are going to kick some butt. I have some big goals, not only with the Christmas Love Project as well, but also just for myself and for all of you who find yourself in this world. So, what an incredible year. I turned 30 this year. Just so many things. So many things. It's really phenomenal getting to this point. It took a lot of hard work, and it's still going to take a lot of hard work to get to where I want to be. But don't be afraid of the challenge is, I think, something really important to bring through in this message before we move on to the law of vibration is that don't be afraid of the challenge. I work with a lot of new moms or moms with multiple kids, people who are processing and dealing some deep trauma experiences that traditional therapy methods have just not supported them in the way that they wanted. And I'm not saying don't go to therapy. I am not licensed to be a therapist. So I work within my models and my skills to support you. But I will also turn down clients if I don't feel like my work is going to be a good fit, if there really is some more deeper foundational work that needs to be laid. I think that's something that's really important for my spiritual entrepreneurs is don't be afraid to say no to clients. That was something that I really struggled with for a couple years, especially just starting, because I really wanted to please the idea that I could be successful in this. And I took on everyone. And I think that this is a lesson that I really learned throughout the last year, is that you can overbook yourself and make the $1 million fast, but you're going to burn out and spend it all if you don't do it properly and you skip over doing that inner work. So for those of you who are, whether you're a spiritual entrepreneur stepping up in this year, or you're moving into your second or third year of business, or someone who's just on a self-development, spiritual journey, a healing journey this year, don't be afraid of the challenge. I think we really overlook that because of all of these political ideas that we need safe spaces and everything's supposed to be blissful and easy. And having studied high-level athletes and speakers and trainers and coaches and anyone who's doing really big things in every industry, I was going to say almost every industry, but it's every industry, the difference that separates them between the top tier people and the ones who never get past the bottom is willing to be challenged, doing what most people won't follow through with. And I think that's something that I really took away from these last 3 years, is that I was willing to show up even if I was breastfeeding with my child at a fair, 7 days born, right? Like 2019, I did a fair. Clara was 7 days old, yes, days, and I did not want to back out of the 2-day, 8-hour fair. I think, like, some things I think back to, I'm like, that is so ridiculous. But, you know, I just be willing to go through the challenge. Challenge yourself. See how far you can go, right? Like, it's things like that where, because of that fair, I have some long-term clients, some very loyal clients now that are a part of a lot of my work, and equally have referred a lot of my work out too. So, you know, that sounds like a stupid idea, but at the time, it just made sense, and it's paid off. And so has a multitude of other things. The late nights of learning to build my website, of figuring out how to code things, which is a nightmare, but I figured it out at the basic level, right? Learning how to build a podcast on my own, taking notes from other people's podcasts when I didn't have the money in the beginning to invest in programs and stuff. Like, really just taking the time to do it. Late nights, early mornings. Sometimes your kids get to be plugged in front of the TV for a little bit. Don't make it a habit, but, you know, also find the balance within what you're pursuing, because I had a goal to make sure that my husband didn't need to go back to work, and I surpassed that goal. And now, in getting to the next level, it's in making sure that I can acquire us some land and a home and hopefully a barn. I'm going to say, and a barn on that land, so we can have animals and we can have this really beautiful acreage property. And so for me, this year is all about debt repair. It's all about building wealth and then compounding that over the next 5 years to creating legacy wealth. And I think a lot of people really get stuck in their heads, whether you're getting started on a personal journey or whether you're in the spiritual entrepreneurship world. People really get stuck in their heads because they think that this all has to be about them. Oh, I'm not in this mindset. I'm not in this frequency. I'm not doing this right. I'm not showing up enough. And what I have learned in having those experiences, and still some days do, is that the inner work, this is where the inner work applies to you. Because in those moments, they turn into what would have been days or weeks, now minutes. Because you have the tools and the techniques and the consistency to move that energy through you. It no longer stays there. You realize that what you're doing isn't even about you. This podcast has nothing to do with me. You just listen to me. Okay, this podcast has everything to do with you. The membership has everything to do with you. The mastermind has everything to do with you. The programs coming out this year has everything to do with you. All of it. It has everything to do with you. None of it has anything to do with me. Now, I get to clearly benefit from the connections that I make with all of you through these spaces, as well as the revenue gain of it too. But that is just a byproduct of showing up without me being the center of this mission, of this focus, of this purpose. And we're really going to see a lot more of this come to light as we go through this acceleration portal of 2022. So the last thing I want to leave with before we go into the law of vibration is just speaking to the world. There is going to be so much noise and so much distraction. We are in a war of information, discernment, discernment, discernment. There is going to be the most craziest, stupidest, mind-blowing, I can't believe this just happened, stuff that comes out this year. But here's what I need you to know. If you focus on that, it will in fact affect your life. If you focus on pursuing healing yourself and focusing in on your world and putting your head down and challenging yourself, a lot of that will not affect you. Here's what I mean by this. We have all the stuff that's been going on in the world, the viruses, the restrictions, the lockdowns, the you can't go here because we advocate for oneness and wholeness and equality, but God forbid that you choose something against the narrative. Well, you're just kidding. You're not welcome, right? And so I chose to not get a shot because of so many reasons that we don't need to get into here. And my life, there's some grocery stores I can't go into. My husband has to go into them because he has a mask exemption. I refuse to wear a mask unless I'm in a hospital, and that's my choice. If you disagree, that's okay. Welcome to a year of learning. Here's your first lesson, neutrality and different opinions. I choose not to wear a mask. I've never worn one outside of a hospital, and I never will wear one. And so I can't say never, but I'm gonna claim I'll wear it on 5 fingers. I'll wear it 5 times in this entire sham of whatever this is. I've already knocked down 2 from 2 hospital visits, so I got three potentials left where someone's gonna get a mask on me. But I digress. A lot of this stuff, yeah, I've absolutely been affected. Can't go to restaurants, can't do a lot of these things. And sure, you can go get a negative test, but I also don't want to be subjected to that system. So my choices in this are equally in choosing to be isolated to this experience, right? However, outside of me not being able to go to the restaurants and have to wait in the truck for some grocery trips, my life hasn't changed. And now the benefit and the blessing is that I also work from home. So that doesn't really affect my life. We don't really travel very much or often. So that also didn't affect my life. When we want to go to BC or somewhere throughout Canada, we very well can drive. And there's a lot of different options within that as well, or loopholes, if you will. So my point is that what you choose to focus on, you will create more in your life. If you focus on, oh my gosh, what's going on with this court case and what's going on with this thing and what's going on with these numbers, you're going to attract more opportunities to focus on fear in your life. I'm not saying ignore it because it's happening, so it's important to be informed, but do a weekly check-in, see what's up, and then turn it off and move on with your life. It's really easy to go down the wormholes and the rabbit holes and all the, I gotta know. But remember, this is a year of acceleration. So if that's where your focus is going to go, understand that your focus for the majority of the year is also going to go there as well. Right, now that I have gone on this really beautiful tangent about really picking your focus and tuning into what type of energy you're going to create from this year, let's get into the law of vibration. So in this year, what we're going to be covering is 12 laws that are important as you're expanding your life to understand that are essentially guiding principles. Okay, so principles are your rules and your direction. They don't change. They're like the mathematical formula, if you will, of how things work. So there's a formula for gravity. Well, the laws of energy work in a very similar way. They are a formula that allow you to deeper understand how everything is working together. So in this month, we are going to dive into the law of vibration. And what the law of vibration is it helps you to understand that everything is energy and energy is everything. I'm going to say that again. Everything is energy and energy is everything, which means that in the phone, the car, the home, the stuff, the hands, the feet, the body, the clothes, all of it, is vibrating molecules that formulate this now thing that is in front of you. And the rate at which those molecules vibrate at is called the frequency. So when I talked about in the beginning how if you are calling something into your life and you don't have it yet, it's because you're not a match, an energetic match for that frequency. You're not vibrating at that space to experience that thing you're calling in. This is why you cannot skip over the inner work, because the inner work, whether that's meditation, forgiveness, release letters, understanding, all of it, that is what allows you to tune into the vibration of where you are. And when you understand the vibration of where you are, you can understand how to then apply that new understanding to shifting frequencies. The law of vibration is what allows you to be able to clarify and have clarity as to where you're at and why you're there, and where you want to go and how to get there energetically. At the foundation of everything is energy. 97% of what we experience, what we see with our physical senses is energy. 97% of what we experience in our physical reality is energy. 3% is what we experience with our physical senses. Okay, so if you're operating based off of what you can see, what you can smell, what you can hear, what you can taste, what you can feel, like touch, you're operating out of 3% of what truly is existing for you. When people say, I'm tapping into the energy of infinite possibilities, what they're talking about is tapping into the 97% that exists outside of that 3% realm, the third dimensional paradigm. Essentially, connecting with the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Energy is nothing more than energy and information. We, as humans, associate and attach emotions, which makes up then stories about something that exists within our life. And so, in terms of money, if you have a story about never having enough money and always being in lack of money and always having to spend money and never having enough money, but you're calling in more money, in order for you to call in more money, you have to understand and get through navigating and breaking apart the vibration and the frequency that exists within your experience with money. And that's equally can be applied with health and self and wealth and what am I missing? Relationships. There we go. And so in the law of vibration, it's about moving into a state of being, in the state of being that exists within what you're calling in, while equally existing exactly where you are. So that sounds a little bit complex, but let me break it down for you. Where you are is a vibration. It's a frequency, it's a rate in which you move, you operate. And everything in that frequency attracts the very things that you experience in your life. All of it. The types of bills you pay, how you pay them, your relationships, what you experience, habits, all of it. And a lot of times when we're wanting to shift out of that experience, we overlook the importance of being actually present in the experience that we're in, being in the state of being of exactly where you are. And what's so beautiful about the skills that you develop in learning how to do that for yourself is that now you can be present with everything transpiring unbiasedly and more connected to it. And that, from that space, is how you shift frequencies, quantum leap, move into a higher state of being and knowing and connection. Because of that presence that you learn to dial into in your current reality, you create from bliss and gratitude because you're able to actually exist within what's happening around you instead of trying to hustle and bustle and get your way out of that, right? So in the law of vibration, we learn to move with the energy versus always having to try and move the energy around us. You learn to be the attractor of the things, and the law of vibration is the foundational law that is the law of attraction. You can't attract things into your life without being in the vibration and understanding how to break down that frequency. All right. I'm going to leave this episode here. I was going to go into a whole other story, but I'm going to save that for next time. I want to share with you what to expect. So next week, we have the mastermind opening up. Actually, this week, we have the pre-work 3-day masterclass that is free to join for spiritual entrepreneurs starting. So tomorrow, when this launches, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, we have 3 days of going deep within, deeply connecting with your own intuition, some of the nitty-gritty details that is required for you to really have a brand that stands out in 2022, as well as the ability to tap into a higher, more conscious, expanded version of this mission, this path that you are taking. So for my spiritual entrepreneurs, this week, tomorrow, we have the 3-day masterclass, the Feminine Rising, that I am inviting you to come and join us with, because following this, on the 9th, we open up enrollment to the waitlist first. The waitlist gets $1,000 off the enrollment price for the mastermind. And then when we open this up to the public on the 10th to the 16th, it's going to be a regular rate. So I'm really excited about this because this is a container that I have literally never seen outside of what I have created. It is the masculine understanding, the connection to industry leaders, the proximity of other like-minded beings who are doing incredible things in this world, both from a starting point and being 2 to 3 years into this work. The coaching skills, the intuition skills. We do mediumship training in this group, building a brand, getting the online stuff all set up, and how to plan for what you may not have a budget for right now. Literally everything you need to build a 6-figure business, spiritual business online, is accessible in this mastermind. It is a 5-month coaching and training container that gets you the support, the training, the skill set, and the vision to move yourself forward for the next however many years that you want. Literally, this is a resource. What's even better about this is beyond the 5 months that we spend together, you have access to the portal with all the trainings for up to a year. Okay, so when I talk about there is literally nothing else like this, I mean there is literally nothing else like this. Every single other program I've ever joined, unless it's a course that I pay out for, I don't get access to the things beyond that experience. And what's really important is that when I was sitting with the intention of what this mastermind got to be for you, I needed to really sit back and think, okay, we go through some intensive training. We meet every Monday, 4 times a month, and not always, we still have life that happens, so not always is everything implementable right away. And so giving you that access for the full 12 months is going to give you the breathing room and space to step back and be like, okay, whatever I didn't implement, I don't need right now, or I can incorporate this now, or I can come back to this in a couple months when I'm starting to get more of a client base and just really see the expansion coming in through my company and business. So the mastermind is perfect for you if you're just getting started, you're in your first year of business, or you're 2 to 3 years in and you're feeling like you're on the hamster wheel and you really are ready to just take this up a notch and revolutionize yourself, your life, your business. So the 3-day pre-work the 3-day masterclass, the pre-work for the mastermind, there we go, starts tomorrow, the 4th to the 6th. Every night at 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, we are going to be diving in. And you have, why do I feel like that's wrong? I'm pretty sure it's actually the 5th to the 7th. I just realized I'm looking at a January calendar. Okay, baby. Okay. Oh no, that is right. The 4th to the 6th. There we go. So the link will be in the show notes. You can come and join that, and make sure if you're a spiritual entrepreneur and you're really ready to kick this year off in an incredible way, to get on the mastermind waitlist so you can save yourself $1,000 for the first 24-hour access. We're only doing 20 spots. So last couple years I did applications. I'm leaving it up to you to decide that you're worthy for this. I don't need to figure that out for you. So the first 20 people, first come, first serve, that get into that's just how we're going to do that this year. You get to determine your worthiness, and I'm really excited for this next round to begin. So with all of that being said, we clearly have a really big, bold, bright future ahead of us. I would love for you to come and screenshot this, pop into Instagram, share it, let me know how much you enjoyed this, what your takeaway was, and ultimately what you're excited for this year ahead. All right, I love you guys. I can't wait to chat with you soon, and don't forget to find the magic in today. Hey, before you go, I wanted to take a moment to just thank you so much for tuning in with me each and every week. If you weren't already aware, new episodes drop on Mondays. If you could please be so kind as to screenshot this episode, just tag me on Instagram at Rylee June with your biggest takeaway, or if you know someone who could really use the insight and guidance provided to you in this session today, I would love for you to go ahead and share this directly to them. I look forward to continuing to bring you insight, guidance, and self-mastery activation tools that you can implement into your life now to truly evolve and become the divine expander that you are. All right, I cannot wait to chat with you soon. And remember, don't forget to go and find the magic in today.